So two terms that have made their way into our culture and are firmly ingrained at this point are African American and Native American. You know, at some point, using the term Negro became offensive. Don't get it confused with the derogatory swear word. The Negro League, the United Negro College Fund, it still exists in our history, okay? But it became offensive, I guess. You know, it was impolite to use. And you really don't hear too many people use it unless they're referring to a historical context or they're really old people. And it's interesting, too, how old people can get away with saying things like Negro and colored, and it's okay because they're old. But if anybody else says it, oh, you're a racist. Whatever. So, then it was black. And that's what I grew up with. Black people, okay? And I never really, even though I'm like, well, why do they call them black? They're really kind of brown. But, hey, whatever. And I grew up down south. There's tons of black people everywhere. So, okay, yeah, sure. That's just it. And then somewhere in the 90s, I started hearing African American. I'm like, really? African American? Most of my lineage, most of it comes from Europe. My heritage. I mean, we're going way back in some cases. And the thing about that is, I don't call myself a European American or an Anglo American. I suppose if I went to the Irish American Festival or the German American Festival or the Italian American Festival or the Hungarian American, whatever, I might say, yeah, I've got some lineage from, but I mean, otherwise, I don't call myself a European American. I don't call myself an Anglo American. I'm just an American. I'm a white American, okay? I'm white. I don't even like using Caucasian. I understand that's proper English stuff, but I'm okay with white. Just like I'm okay with black. It's what I grew up with, okay? They're not derogatory. And if you want to be insulted by white or black, that's on you, dude. That's on you, all right? One day I'm going to be that 95-year-old man who talks, says, black. And they're going to go, oh, just let him go. He's an old man, right? But African American, well, first off, not everybody who is black in America has descendants from Africa. But my thing is, if you want to call yourself an African American, I would think it's more because you really did immigrate here from Africa. Okay? What's funny is, I knew a guy, spoke perfect English, and his dad spoke with a thick Polish accent because his dad was from Poland. Well, I found out years later that they actually immigrated over from Poland to America when he was still a child. He was actually born in Warsaw. But you can't tell. He acts like an American. His mannerisms are American. His accent is not Polish at all. He can speak Polish, I guess, and all this, but I had no idea. He doesn't go around going, I'm a Polish American. He's an American. He even changed his name, his last name, so it's easier to spells like it sounds, because he's an American. He wants to fit in. He doesn't disgrace his Polish heritage, and he's proud that he has Polish heritage, but he doesn't go around waving in everybody's face. And that doesn't mean that he can't fly a Polish flag in front of his house or whatever, have a Polish flag for a mouse pad or whatever he wants to do, but he never made it a big deal. You see what I mean? So the whole, I'm an African American. Really? Did you immigrate from Mali? Because if not, no, you're an American. Okay? And for the purposes of identifying your body later, you're black. Okay? So that's just the way it is to me. Now, if somebody wants to say African American because it makes them feel proud of their heritage, I get it. If somebody wants to say it because they want to be politically correct and they just don't want to deal with the hassle because somebody's going to call them a racist for saying they're black or they're of color. Yeah, that's another thing. What's the difference between a person of color and a colored person? I don't know, but whatever. It's racist. But if you want to use it because you just don't want to deal with the hassle, I get it, dude. I totally get it. All right? But, I'm not going to. And then there's Native American. It was always Indian for me. As a matter of fact, I think they're still called the Department of Indian Affairs. Now you might go, well, yeah, but real Indians are from India. No, those guys are Hindus. I don't know, whatever. Yeah, all right, there's two different Indians. All right, there's Indians from the country of India, and there's Indians in America who, when the explorers came here, they thought they were in India, and they weren't. Okay, so, but there's also a bird called Turkey and a country called Turkey. Do we rename the bird because it's offensive to Turkish people? Or do we go back to calling them Ottomans? I don't know. But there's things like that in our language. So they've always been Indians to me. That's the way I grew up. Once again, somewhere around the 90s, I started hearing Native American. And I go, really? Because they came over from Asia, so on the land bridge. So are they really native? You know what I'm saying? So I don't like Native American. I'm okay with Indian, and I don't see anything offensive about it. And I've noticed that all these social justice warriors, these virtue signaling white people, are saying we can't use the image of an Indian, of a Native American for our sports team, or we can't use their name for our sports team, or we can't use it in any sort of symbology. Why not? The warrior spirit of an Indian is something that Indians should be proud of. Their lineage is something they should be proud of. If you're going to use the image, or you're going to use the symbology or the terminology in a positive way, like saying, look at our sports team, we're the such and such Redskins or Warriors or something like that, then you're using the image of an Indian brave or a chief or something like that. You're using it in a positive way. How is that offensive? It isn't, unless you want it to be offensive. Same thing with anything regarding Black history. There's a Black History Month, right? Because they want to take time out to say, look at what we've overcome. Look at all of the obstacles the Black culture in America has overcame to truly be equal. But no, people want to go, no, they're not equal. Well, yeah, they have equal opportunity. Equal doesn't mean equality of outcome. It means equal opportunity. And in today's day and age, Black people, if they don't have equal opportunity, they have above equal opportunity because everybody's so scared of being called a racist. So you could be proud of the accomplishments of your ancestors. You could be proud of the image of somebody who's overcome, or somebody who has that warrior spirit, somebody who appreciates nature. Do you remember that Indian commercial where they had the Italian actor dressed up like an Indian and he's looking at pollution and he's crying? No, you probably don't. But that was meant to say that the Indians were sad because they used to take care of they didn't do what I guess the settlers and the Americans that were taking over the country, the manifest destiny, were doing to this country, because we were ignorant of pollution. We were ignorant of things like driving an animal species to extinction, or the balance in nature, at that time. So using different sort of references like that in a positive way, I don't see anything wrong with it. But if you want to say Native American or African American, I get it, sort of. But for me, it's going to be Black and Indian. And if you're offended, I don't care. I'm not trying to appease you. And I'm not a racist. I'm not being bigoted by using those terms. Thanks for listening.